Yo, what's up? This motherfucking Leesy of the Nonchalance, repping Illtown, East Orange, New Jersey. You know me, I rep for all the shooters, all the rappers. And the main thing that you gonna get from me is when your energy right, you attract the light. Me, honestly, I feel like I'm just a professional procrastinator. Like, you know, say now. I just graduated from college. I just graduated from Parsons, photography major. So that's like, I guess the cool, like, whoop-de-doo type thing, but I really just enjoy just creating. I feel like, to keep it G, like I just be dealing with like anxiety and shit, and I feel like if I'm going through something, I'm always gonna wanna like hop on stage to express myself. So I do that through my music, through my art. I work underneath the name The Nonchalance because I've always been called like nonchalant my whole life. The first person who like introduced that idea that I'm a nonchalant person was my mom, and it was always a negative thing. It was always like, I don't care enough about the stuff that she cares about. But then it wasn't until I got a girlfriend, she started calling me that. I'm like, damn, like this is a real thing. So I realized that by being nonchalant, it's like this idea, like you too cool to do certain shit. You too cool to like be super passionate. So I was like, fuck it. I'm gonna name my shit The Nonchalance because it's kind of like taking the elephant out of the room. Like that's the thing that I'm dealing with, so fuck it, I'm gonna name that shit. So I'm a procrastinator, and I'm a nonchalant motherfucker, but I like to create. Music, I've always loved music. Shout out to my father. He was a DJ, so he always had like records, but I didn't see him that often. So whenever I did see him, that was like the main thing. He would come like to the basement. He bought my brother and I like DJ equipment. So just vinyl records and really like, also just the album covers, like just looking at shit like that, that was like really it. But my aunt is also like really into music as well. So I don't know, I'm in like a musical, like everybody just likes music. My mom loves to dance, like she loves house music. So I just love like all different kinds of music. The visual part of music, the EPKs, the album covers, the promotional images that artists have, like that shit is just embedded in my brain. I remember growing up watching MTV Jams, and that's like the main like Pharrell and Clips grinding, like that video. I remember that shit so vividly. So I've always wanted to create like music videos and just always to have music and visuals put together. I feel like they go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other. So photography, like I've always been into cameras. Like I'm a geek, like I'm a nerd. So I started with cell phones. I became really addicted to like cell phones. I started collecting cell phones when I was younger, and cameras was like the next thing to that, because it's like people always have like just leftover like shit. So I'll go to like my family's house, and then I will always leave with like a camera or like a cell phone and shit. So after I had like a little collection, I started realizing like I really do like taking photos. But then the main thing was that I used to like to take photos of myself. So I was always like, you know, turning it on to myself, editing photos. But to keep it G, like I just had bad self-esteem when I was younger. So I didn't like the photos that I was taking, so I would just turn the camera around on the people that was around me. So in a way, it was out of like insecurity. So that's why like I think music, like I said, they go hand in hand, because I feel like low-key like the photography side of me is that like really chill like part of me, but then the music side is that expressive side, the one that's fighting all of the shit that I'm mad at, fighting all the insecurities, fighting the nonchalance. So it's like, you know, like niggas just like fighting each other. I started with, my first camera was a Nikon Coolpix, that like little point and shoot shit. Then I went to the Nikon D3100, and that was like my first like DSLR. But I got a Canon now. I don't have them on me. You said Pentax. What was the other option? Sony. I don't own nothing Sony. If we talking Sony, we talking PlayStation. But no, I hear that Sony is really good for like video. But I mean, I own a Canon 5D Mark II. I love it. I think it's pretty chill. I'm trying to get the new one, like the Mark IV or whatever, but I fucks with it. To keep it G, like I'm a certain kind of girl. Like I get around dudes and I don't really like have a certain persona where I feel like they have to change the way they are. So whenever I'm around dudes, like I'm pretty much just like one of the guys. So I don't really feel that way. I do think that because I'm a female, I'm able to get insight and view things differently than how a lot of other photographers normally would. But I mean, yeah, like males usually dominate like a lot of different fields. So that's pretty much like, I grew up playing basketball. So it was always like a thing of like guys, I always wanted to do things guys did. So I don't know. I don't really feel like me being a female, like it's harder as a photographer. If anything, it's kind of more helpful because I'm a female. I get a certain kind of respect, whereas some photographers, I feel like it's kind of like, oh nah, fuck you. Like, you know, like when I shot Honorable Sino, he's been producing for like Travis and Migos and Uzi, I was on the ASAP Ferg and DJ Premier video set, and I'm real chill. I'm like, you know, I got the glasses. I'm just like, I don't know how to like kind of assert myself in this. I would say that's probably the main thing about being a female is that I'm not super like assertive, like, oh, I'm up in this bitch, like I'm taking a fucking photo. But he asked me to take a photo, and I'm like, I had no idea who he was, and that ended up being like a photo that's been published to the Fader, Complex, Billboard, like mad other sites. So I feel like because I was like this kind of chill like character, he kind of viewed me as like, you know, like not intimidating, I guess, in a sense. And I kind of use that as my advantage, I guess. Like last year, I dropped my first mixtape, which was called Nonchalant. And around that time, I was going through like a whole relationship thing. So the music I was making definitely did have to do with the photography. Around that time, I dropped my first photo series called Why Do We Like Girls? So I do think like my music, whatever I'm rapping about, chances are is what I'm shooting. You know what I'm saying? So I started Pretty Girl Blues like around the time where I was getting out of like a really long-term like relationship that I was in. And it was because of basically like after I started to kind of become like a successful photographer, like kind of getting known for my photography. More or less my photography getting exposure, but not necessarily me getting exposure, like my name being attached to the photography. That started to really like fuck with me. So that's why I said like I have like this like they kind of like fight each other. So it's like I'm proud of my work, but then I started to feel like I wasn't being myself like in my own work. So specifically my work around that time was very Afrocentric. It was around time like Afros was really popping. So like that's, you know, pretty much all I was doing. And I started to feel like, damn, like I have this whole experience of basically growing up and multiple times like people not knowing if I was a boy or a girl. That was like a huge like part of me growing up, like dealing with like gender, like my sexuality and stuff like that. So Pretty Girl Blues was like, fuck it, like I'm gonna tell like my story, like this is what I'm gonna do. So it started with this audio piece that is the film, like me talking. I made that in like 20 minutes on my way to class. Like I was late. I told you I'm a professional procrastinator. That's some real shit. Every time I had projects due in school, I was doing it like the morning of, the night before. And my professor was getting really aggravated with me because she felt like I wasn't pushing myself, like I wasn't, you know, and truth is I wasn't. I was letting my personal life, letting my relationship too much, like just other shit get in the way. So when I made that audio piece, they really liked it. They were like, oh my gosh, like I really like, it's an inspiring story and I'm glad like you were able to say it. This is art school, like, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of white people, you know? So I'm like, hey, like I'm getting somewhere, like I'm actually telling my story, like it felt good. So then it became like, all right, I'm gonna add other women because I see other women that I feel could relate to me all the time, whether they're actually studs, whether they're actually dykes, or they're just women that know that they carry themselves a different way, or if they just women that's fucking other women, whoever, you know? So I'm like, hey, I feel like you fit in this project, have a little chat, pull up to the studio, I'm gonna shoot them. And then I realized like I'd rather it be a film because it's easier to put audio and visual together, so I made it into a film. To keep it G, like that situation, like I'm trying not to be too personal, but it's hard because my art is very personal. But my relationship was like a huge part of my career because I was dating someone that I was working with. So it became a thing of like, I realized like when I hit that wall, I wasn't posting to the gram no more because I felt like that person that I'm taking photos of, everybody's only like focused on her. You know, I post photos of somebody else and it's like, oh, all of a sudden like my work itself doesn't hold its weight because these other people are more focused on like this celebrity surrounding this other person. So that shit starts to really fuck me up. That shit really like Instagram, I started hating going on Instagram. I started really like kind of hating my work because I'm like, yo, like, am I not a good photographer? Like, is it just because like I take photos of this one person why everybody likes my shit? But I knew that wasn't true because when my shit got chosen, when my shit got chosen for the MoMA, I remember seeing like the photo, like she was fixing the dresses and I'm like, damn, like stay right there. This shit looks iconic and I'm gonna darken this part. And I remember seeing that and that was just for her collection. So that got posted to the gram and that got probably like 130 likes. That's, you know, like average. And then the Museum of Modern Art wants to use that as an advertisement. So it makes me think like, okay, like you're a talented motherfucker. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you got your shit. It's just that a certain way like you're going about it. So that wall that I hit was that shit. It was me not posting. It was me like I let go of that relationship. Like I just was like, fuck it. Like I gotta like rework myself. I gotta figure out like exactly who I am, you know, like the whole like little soul searching shit. So that was it. And ever since then, I did Pretty Girl Blues. So I hit the wall and then I made Pretty Girl Blues. My music videos is like, I would say the part of me artistically that is not fully developed. Music videos are always a bit hard for me because of like, I like to be behind the camera, but then it's like, okay, no, like you're behind the camera. And a lot of my friends, like, you know, I love them, but they don't know how to focus and, you know, shit like that. So stuff being like super professionally done, unless I'm paying someone, I don't really expect it to be like that. I definitely feel like it is a bit of a competition because when you're in the industry and you're meeting people and they ask you what you do, you want to tell them the thing that you do, you want it to be the thing that you want help with. Like, for example, I got like hella little like fucking stories. I was shooting behind the scenes for Wyclef Jean's music video in East Orange. So he wanted to get like East Orange youth together. So I'm shooting behind the scenes. And mind you, I'm a photographer. And so in my head, it's like, all right, like I could be talking to these other photographers, letting them know like, hey, I'm trying to work with them, like blah, blah, blah. This was like 3 years ago. So I was like super naive and just like, oh, like I want to just talk to all these people. But then Wyclef's having the fucking rap cipher. So then it's like, oh shit, I'm a photographer, but I got bars too. So I'm gonna definitely step in that bitch and spit my fucking, you know. And I remember like, I was actually thinking about this the other day that I was so not ready to rap in front of Wyclef at that moment in time because like I love Lauryn Hill, like I'm from East Orange, so it's like hella like visceral, like I don't know if that's the right word, but it just feels like, oh my gosh, like I'm in front of like the what's it, Boogie Studios, whatever they called the something basement, Booger basement, something. They called their studio the basement, but we're in front of that house on like Clinton Street. And I'm so in my fucking head that it's like, bitch, like rap. You're in front of Wyclef, like, you know, focus on your lyrics. So I had like a whole like little kind of moment where it's like, yeah, I'm a photographer, but I've always loved this rap shit. And if I'm gonna continue, my mom would always say like, don't half-ass shit. So that's like kind of the nonchalant in me. It's like I was gonna go rap, like I went and rapped in front of him, but I was kind of nonchalant about it. I wasn't really like focused on like really spitting some real shit to like be like, nah, this is what the fuck I do. So yeah, it is a bit of a fight, you know, but that's why I just dropped All I Do, Rap Fuck Shoot, because it's me bridging this shit together, because this is literally all I do. It's, you know, I'm walking on my way to a photo shoot, I'm gonna be rapping on the way there, you know. So, and I don't see no rappers that's rap about photography, so fuck it. I'm gonna do it. Anything, the way that I view myself is that I'm consistently inconsistent and perfectly imperfect, so that's what I view my work. So